This helium miner is giving me a hard time. It keeps going offline. So I'm going to take it down and inside and see if we can figure out what's going on with it. Okay, I got the miner down. I still have the Wi-Fi antenna screwed in. It's kind of stuck. It's been out in the weather for quite a while. You can see the rust on these screws here as well. I tried to take these screws off whenever I was on the roof, and these two were giving me issues. These two came out, so I got to see what it's going to take to get this bad boy open so we can kind of troubleshoot, you know, with the few steps that I know about. Ran into my first issue. None of the screws or work. They're all stripped. I guess this is just from the weather. This guy's been on the roof for a year, over a year. All right, plan B. Okay, now that I have these screws loose, we can open the miner. And this is the inside of the Outdoor Nebra miner. I believe this is generation 1. I've had this for over a year. We've got the daughter board, we have the Raspberry Pi, we have the eMMC, the Bluetooth module. Usually just by pressing down on these guys, that fixes it. Pushing in, everything's tight. So let me grab an Ethernet cord connected to a PoE switch and be right back. So I have the PoE Ethernet cord. I just simply need to plug it in. 1 second. Okay, when I plug it in, the lights should come on. There's a couple, there's like one here, there's a Bluetooth light, there's a light here, there's a light under the board, and no lights are coming on. So the next part of the troubleshooting is to bypass this connector for Ethernet power and Ethernet up to here. So let me do that right now. Okay, what I've done now is I have unplugged this. It just simply is a connector here, and we are going to plug in our Ethernet cord straight in to here, bypassing. We should get some lights. There we go. So we have an LED here, we have a blue LED here. This is usually where you can get your codes depending on how many times it's blinking. We have a light under the board, and then there is an LED right here. This is for the Bluetooth, in which you can, once it starts blinking, it takes it about a minute, but once it starts blinking, you can then connect your phone to this miner and you can get a diagnostic report. You can log into it, and usually if you can log into it, most of the time you're going to be okay. However, if you don't get these lights and this Bluetooth light, that's usually when you're going to have to dive in, maybe even reach out to tech support to see if you can get some help with it. So we'll come back in a second when that light starts blinking. Okay, we now have a blinking LED. You can see it right there. Blinking red. So that means that everything's working properly. So far, I don't see any kind of status codes coming up on the lights, the LED right here. But it seems like I should be able to connect to by Bluetooth to this miner and run a diagnostic report. So I'm going to do that now. Here's the information that pulls up in your phone whenever you connect by Bluetooth to the diagnostic page. What I've done here is I've gotten the miner's IP address. I've opened a web page, I've put that IP address in, and it brings me inside the miner, and you get the same information. And you can find out if your miner is okay. If there is an issue, it'll let you know right here. So this will be blurred out. It's the miner name. You can go straight to the Explorer to see how your miner's doing. Your firmware version will be right here the last time that the miner updated. If this is not updating, if it's an old firmware that's showing up right here, that could be one of two issues that I've ran into in the past. And that was either the eMMC card is bad or the image is bad. So whenever you reach out to tech support, they will run you through some troubleshooting steps to determine which one it is. Then this means the US. This is a Gen 1, so you know how old this is. True. I'll be blocking this information out. At the bottom, you can download a diagnostics info support file. It's a JSON file, and inside that JSON file is going to be all of the miners' personal miner information. And you can take that file and store it, or whenever you do reach out to tech support, they actually want you to download that file and send to them so they can see exactly what that miner is doing. Here we are the next day, and I've pulled up the Helium Explorer, and I've pulled this to a different section on the map just to for location reasons. But you can see that the miner is active. About 17 hours ago, it received a mining reward. It broadcasted a beacon, but you can see that this miner was offline for 13 days. Now, normally I get an email within 24 hours or a text message to let me know that the miner's offline. However, I was just really busy and was unable to get there, but finally got there. We got the miner up and running. Now, the miner, it's been, 17 hours since it's sent another beacon, but there's a lot going on with the Helium network and Heliums in general. If you have a Helium miner, sometimes you just have to let it sit there, and it could be a day, 2, or even more before it really starts producing anything. But we got it figured out. That's the first time I've really had that issue. Now, because I have to bypass it, I'm thinking that I'm probably going to have to keep this miner in the attic, or figure out how, if I run that wire from the bottom, somehow sealing it on the bottom of the miner to keep it from water from getting in there, from bugs or dust or anything else from getting in there to really mess that miner up. So we're back to mining HNT. That was a simple fix. I've had some pretty tough issues with some of the miners in the past, so I'm glad this was a fairly quick issue. Kind of sad it took me so many days to get it up and going again. But I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you next time.